Remember in my How to Stand Up for Yourself at Work course, we talked about how you want to give people a number at work. You want to label people from 1 to 9. Maybe some of them are 10s, but that's not their value as a human being. That is, how much do you contribute to my personal, professional, spiritual, or otherwise development? How much time and effort should I give the things that you say or the things that you think? And for example, if I have a 9 on that call, somebody who is directly responsible for my next promotion, and somebody who's maybe a 2 says something disparaging about me, I might want to take a moment to interject something such as, John, I'll just let my work speak for itself. Thank you. Because your work is always speaking for itself. These tactics that we're talking about here will not work unless I am first a competent, dedicated professional, right? So I'm assuming that you are that and that your work does speak for itself. And if you ever need to simply state, I think my work speaks for itself, that's all you would need to say. Anybody who counts already knows, and you don't need to explain yourself. So don't tarnish what's probably already a good thing and a good rep by defending yourself, because all defensive talk does is exposes our own weaknesses and where we believe we are vulnerable. Okay, remember that's in the 9 principles. So what do we do when we want to call somebody out and be like, somebody, do you smell that? Oh my goodness, I can smell it all the way through Zoom. Somebody's pants are on fire. John? You know, if you want to say that, I guess you could. However, you'll be getting this checklist. This is a checklist for when you have to put it in writing and you have to stand up for yourself or defend your reputation or defend something or answer somebody who might have accused you of something. There is a checklist that you can go through to ensure that whatever you write will be beyond reproach. And you can publish it anywhere you'd like and say, I wrote that and I'm proud of it. Number 1 thing you want to do before you respond is wait. Number 1, always. If you must respond to it, give it a day, because you will always make smarter choices. We should all be able to produce something better a day from now than we would with no notice, off the cuff, and just winging it. Right? That just makes sense. So that's always step 1. Wait a day. All right? Having said that, here is the same letter using the principles that I will outline later, okay? It does the same thing, meaning it calls the person out on what was not true. I'm going to cover my hide, but I'm not going to sound like a defensive, unprofessional baby when I do it. All right? The goal of the letter was to show, hey, Bub, I've checked all of the records, and there is not one instance that I responded to you that wasn't within 2 to 3 business hours. Okay, so let's just set the record straight. You may be privy to information to which I am not. And if that is the case, I'm certainly not going to shut the door so that I get egg on my face when you prove me wrong. So here was principle number 1. Wait a day. Wait a day. Principle number 2, openers and closers are key. Just as when you enter and leave a room, when you enter or leave a conversation, anytime we're writing to somebody, even if it is a really quick response to something that they said, if it's a not so friendly email, your openers and your closers are key. It sets the tone and closes the tone for your entire message. So remember that. One simple little personal touch. If I simply add, hi, Bob, I hope wherever you are that you're enjoying yourself in the warm weather and getting a break from all of that cold we've been having. It adds that personal connection where if somebody's reading that, I'm saying, hey, although we may have sometimes misunderstandings and we might have issues that we need to clear up, that's just work. You're a human being and I see you and I appreciate you and I want to respect you and salute you first. Then we move on. Remember to never, ever, ever, in writing or otherwise, use the word you stated, you claimed. Because when I say that you claimed something, that means I do not believe that claim to be true. Because when we do believe somebody's claim to be true, we'll simply say, you know, when you said XYZ, I was totally vibing with that. In a professional environment, there's no reason for me to question your truthfulness. It will come out. So all I need to do is stick to my professional tone and assume that everyone with whom I am dealing is honest. I'm going to assume that and treat people as if they're honest. They're concerned with the well-being of the organization. They are problem solvers. They are people of integrity. I'm going to assume all of that and treat people like that because it is only in doing that that I can demonstrate that that's what I think of myself and that that's the person that I am. I have to be consistent. So I'm never going to assume you're not telling the truth. When they talk about internal customer service and external customer service, that's a real thing. It is an impossibility that we are going to treat our customers better than we treat one another in the workplace. I'm going to repeat that. It is an impossibility that we would treat our customers better than we treat one another in the workplace. So as an organization, as a manager, as a supervisor, as an employee, I want to ensure that I'm living up to the expectations that we have of each other and one another when we speak to our customers. They're important. We think of them as important. We are important as well. And the way that I serve you is a reflection of how I serve. I have a standard of service, not with the people that I think are important or with some people. I have a standard of service. When I've decided to come into work and serve you and serve my customers, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And that means I'm not going to accuse you of being a big fat liar. I'm going to say something instead of like, when you mentioned XYZ, I was concerned because I was unaware of that. I have different information from the information you obviously have. Could you please show it to me? Here's what I see in the information. Here's what my information is showing me. If you have something else, could you please send that to me? That's how I want to phrase it. Instead of saying to somebody, hey, when you claimed XYZ, or when you stated blah, 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 that totally wasn't true and you know it, Because if you keep it professional and you keep the attitude of, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you are maybe not choosing the best forum, maybe not choosing the best method, but you're being truthful. You believe that I never respond to you on time because that's the information that you think you have or that you have at hand. So I'm going to simply say, could you please share that with me because I'm not privy to that information and that's troubling to me. It's troubling to me that I've let this go unnoticed, that I have not been aware of how long it's taken me to call you. So please shoot that over to me because I have to find where the communication broke down or where the breakdown was in work. How did it get to this point that I didn't even know it and here it's happening all the time, But I'm going to assume that you're telling the truth. And remember, you're going to work together to find where the breakdown occurred because the information is showing me one thing and showing you another. Let's find out where the differences are because the information should be showing both of us the same thing. It's not a personal issue. There's nothing to get upset about. We have different information. Let's find where the discrepancy is, okay? Remember to let people off the hook. It's never good to corner people. Ever, ever. Not at home, not at work, never. When people feel cornered, they start to feel desperate. Desperate people are dangerous people. You never want people to feel desperate. You never want to back people into a corner. Always give people an out, just as I'm sure you would want an out. If you were caught maybe exaggerating a little bit. It's nice to have an out. Like, if you do find that your information was simply erroneous, I understand that, especially in these times. So no sweat. Don't even worry about it. We'll just consider it done. And at this point, because they have not yet fact-checked themselves, it doesn't matter whether or not you both have the same information and they maybe just read it wrong or didn't notice that they were looking at someone else's numbers and not their own. They just didn't notice that they were looking at it incorrectly. They had the chart upside down. That hasn't come out yet. What's important is how they feel. And if they've expressed it even in an inappropriate manner, they're frustrated about it. Address that and you will help to heal this rift. Because remember, the top skills that managers, supervisors, CEOs look for when hiring are going to be people skills, communication skills, problem-solving skills. If you can show yourself to be someone who, even when there's a situation or a conflict that you had no part in creating, you can always help solve it. We do that by sticking to the procedure, letting people off the hook, and addressing somebody's feelings if they're frustrated. I can certainly understand how this would frustrate you. I apologize for any frustration this may have caused you. I apologize. If you're angry about that, I can understand why, and I apologize. No skin off my nose. If I can find a place to agree with them, even better. If I can say something such as, I agree. When somebody else turns things in late, it's really frustrating. So I hope that we can find where that happened. And now, since I'm apologizing, I'm going to state the reason why I did things the way I did it. I apologize, John. I should have made it clear to you because evidently I did not. If you're frustrated about this and think that I never respond to you on time, it's because I have not yet clarified to you. I don't live under my desk. And this is a key. Anytime you ask for anything, could you send me that information? Could you check this, that, and the other? Anytime I'm asking somebody to do anything from a service-oriented perspective, I have to give them the benefit first. I have to give them the benefit statement first. I have to give them the so you can get this. Here's what I'm asking from you. For example, so that this doesn't happen again and you don't have to wait for a call that's not even going to come, could you blah, 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 so that I can find the breakdown and ensure this does not keep happening to you, could you send me the information that you have? Things like that make any request that you make much more service-oriented. Even if it wasn't going to be aggravating to begin with, if your language is always peppered with those types of comments, people will have an impression of you that is very different from the impression that they would have of somebody who would lie about you and blame you for their shoddy work. Your work speaks for itself. And remember, key, don't tell people what not to do. And don't reference the past any more than you have to. Simply state what to do. In the future, if you have to call after 5 o'clock, I'm going to give you the phone numbers of my managers who can take emergency calls. So if you do deem these calls to be an emergency, give them a call and they'd be happy to help you. I'm telling you what to do now. Simple. How much more could I possibly do for you? And then, of course, you said this in front of other people. I'm sure that they are, as am I, very concerned about this issue and how to resolve it. I'm assuming nobody's taking this personally. We are all here in one team, one fight. We have found some breakdown. We're all going to solve it. And so if they think this hasn't been solved, I need to disabuse them of that notion so that they can sleep. So that's why I'm going to send a copy on over to Bob and Sheila and Charlie or whoever I thought, again, maybe a 5 or above, was on that call and might be thinking, is Dan turning things in late? What's the deal there? If I find it necessary to CC other people, always tell the person that you're writing to that you are doing that. And I want to just remember, serve, serve, serve. When I'm getting used to changing my tone, and as you're reviewing the letters that you send, just go through each one of these principles and remember, there's nothing that's not serve, serve, serve. How is this sentence serving me or serving you? Is it a service attitude? Is it a solution-focused sentence? Or am I simply defending myself? Am I simply saying something nasty? Am I trying to make sure that everybody knows it's not my fault? That's not a service-oriented attitude. So I want to look at every single sentence and ask myself, what's the purpose? And then you get used to writing only those sentences. And when you review, because you always want to, that's a key, review before you send. Even if you've waited a day, you write it, you review it before you send. And remember, you stick with all the positives, but if there is a negative that you have to address, apologize for it. Apologize for the emotion, not the act. It's not about whether or not you did what they claim that you did. It's about how they feel again. And there's never any culpability that I'm assuming when I say to you something such as, I apologize for any frustration this caused you. I apologize that I didn't make myself clear. Because I'm not apologizing for what you're claiming that I did. I'm apologizing for you being frustrated. And remember, anytime you say I apologize or I'm sorry, whether verbally or in writing, if you say I apologize if I gave you the impression XYZ, I apologize if you were frustrated, I apologize if you didn't understand, I apologize if you're just incompetent, and you know what I mean? That's what we're saying. We apologize for things. I want to say that I'm sorry for, or I apologize for. If I say I apologize if, or I'm sorry if, I just ruin the whole letter, take it, flush it down the toilet, don't even bother writing it because all it's going to do is make things worse. And anytime you feel the need to apologize for something, for example, I apologize for any frustration this must have caused you, then if you apologize, you must add a solution. So could you please send me the information that you're looking at so that I can ensure that I find the breakdown and this never happens to you again? If there's a problem, you must state, I'm going to find the solution and here's how I'm going to do it. Review it and close something friendly. Again, John, make sure that you get a little bit of that sunshine. Before you know it, it's going to be Halloween and I'll be at your door saying, trick or treat, trick or treat. So stay safe and trick or treat. If you need me, I'm here, Dan. Simple. And then at the bottom, I attach the people's emails and things like that. If you go through any letter that you have and you just go through those points and ask yourself, okay, is this service oriented? Am I using words that are accusatory, like you claimed, you stated? Anytime that I ask them for anything, am I using a benefit statement? How's my opener and my closer? Am I, instead of focusing on what not to do or problems, am I focusing on the future and telling people what to do? If I'm going to include anybody and CC them, am I stating who they are and why? Does every sentence and thought here have a service-oriented attitude? So here's the same thing. Hi, Bob. I hope your day is going well, and I hope that wherever you are, you're enjoying yourself in that warm weather and getting a break from all that cold we've been having. I wanted to reach out to you right away after yesterday's Skype call where I heard you express some frustration because of the call return times. I was hoping we could work together to find the breakdown because while reviewing all the information I have, I cannot find any instance of a turnaround time taking longer than 3 hours. So that I can ensure this never happens again, if while reviewing the information you find some specific instance this occurred, I would appreciate you forwarding that on to me. If, on the other hand, you find that maybe an error was made somewhere along the line, I could sure understand that, now more than ever, actually, with all the changes going on, and would appreciate it if you could let me know that too so I can mark this mystery as solved. While reviewing the information I have, I did, however, see a handful of instances where you called after 5, and since I don't telecommute or work from home, if a call comes in after 5, unfortunately, it's impossible for me to know until the next morning. I apologize for any frustration this caused you, if this was indeed the culprit that caused this issue. Going forward, if you have an emergency after office hours, I've included Mark and Jen's numbers below. They are available to help with any emergency that occurs between 5 p.m. and 10 a.m. weekdays or on weekends. Again, in an effort to prevent this from interfering with your productivity, please let me know so that I can fix whatever may have caused this issue to begin with, okay? Bob, please make sure that you get a little bit of that sunshine because before you know it, I'm going to be at your door saying, trick or treat, trick or treat. So stay safe and trick or treat. If you need me, I'm here. Dan. That is how you do it. And I love lists like that. And if you do too, make sure to check out this list. It's from another lesson from my upcoming course. So check that out. And remember, there is nothing that I have to say that I cannot say in a loving way. That's who I am. I don't care if when you called me out in front of other people or accused me of something in front of my boss. I don't care if every word that you said was infused with as much lovelessness as you could possibly cram into every syllable that flew out of those lips of yours. That's about you. However, there's nothing that I have to say that I can't say in a loving way. I can be so loving to you in an email that you might just pass out from all the love that I'm shoving through that inbox. I'm just saying.